Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
King's Guild is a game that I really wanted to like and thought that I would. And it has some negatives that kind of pull it down for me. So let me start at the beginning. So I played this with a buddy and I liked it but didn't love it. And everybody else liked it a lot more than me. And a lot of times it tells me that maybe I'm missing something. There was a strategy that maybe it didn't click with me and I wonder why. And that will actually lead me to give more plays into a game. If I'm at a game and everybody hates it, and I like it, then I kind of question that too. Well, King's Guild was a beautiful presentation. The box was beautiful, although I didn't really like the box itself, but when you get inside, it's like that more than amateurness kind of takes over. A lot of repeating art. I thought the components were really nice, but at the end of the day, I just felt like I was doing the same thing. I don't know. I'm not crazy about it. I'm kind of unsure about this limited resource. So if I have all 5 pieces of gold, then there may not be any available to you, and you have to kind of dictate your strategy based on that. Then you cash those resources in for these journeys that you're going on, and you're gaining victory points. It was kind of interesting how everything had 2, and something had to work together, but then your sigils could be caught up for a while. It was just kind of a weird presentation. Now, I have to say that everybody I played this with, every single person, liked this game more than I did. My wife liked this game more than I did. And this is actually kind of a keeper for her, even though we're getting rid of it. And sometimes that happens where I'll want to keep a game and she's not going to play with me. You know, maybe it shouldn't stick around at all. But in this regard, this is one, very few one that she liked. I decided not to keep it. I just don't think I want to get it back to the table. And some of that repeating art was a problem for me. It just kind of felt samey after a while of what I was doing. With that said, this is an excellent limited resource game that I am 100% in the minority with. It also promised, or seemed to promise, that there's going to be like this adventuring, almost like Lords of Waterdeep vibe to it, where you feel like you're going on these journeys, and it never felt that way. Once again, getting back to the artwork, not to beat a dead horse, but it was the same, so it never felt like, it just didn't draw me in and bring me in. And I think, even though they're very different games in some respects and similar in others, Lords of Waterdeep is where I would go for this. I'm in the minority. I understand that, but sometimes that's what happens with these reviews, where people like a game more than you. And this is just my experience with the game. I didn't feel like I wanted to keep going back to it, and that's a pretty good reason with all of these games to get rid of something, so for me, it will be a purge. Box art for King's Guild, gotta be honest, not a very striking. It's a busy one, and these people's faces looking at it's very weird. It's very diverse, so if you're into that, you have it here. Has no bearing really on the game. I guess it kind of shows you the market and the king died, I suppose. When you open this up, you're going to get a rule book, which we'll take a look at in a few minutes. You're going to get these player boards that players will have. And as you'll notice right off the bat, each one is different. So when you cover up spaces, you're going to get different goodies. And it's all the same goodies that are on there. They're just in different locations. So each player will have a little bit different of that. You're going to get a player board. I'll show you that in just a second. You're going to get cardboard tokens. You're going to get these sigils that are really nice, overproduced. They're plastic. They feel very plasticky. You're going to get those. These tiles here that you're going to be using for the rooms. Very thick cardboard, look very nice. There's the king statue that you're really looking for. Now this container I added myself. I just kind of put all the resources in here. Each one's going to have a different look to it. So the green's going to look different than the reds and the whites and the blues, which is a nice touch. And then you're going to get your little specialist, which is going to be these little small little cards. If you like to sleeve things, I think you're going to be out of luck with these small ones. I don't know if they exist. You're going to get these little cards here, which will be the treasures that you will get and what they're kind of worth. You've seen these things. The pictures and the artwork on it's very generic. Now, the artwork on some of this stuff, like I find this statue to be very good. And, you know, these are just rooms in a house. So I don't know how exciting that is going to be for people. And then you're going to have the journeys that you go on. And I'll open these up. I'll show you more in the flow of the game. But very easy. You know, this is what they are. The resources you have to give up and kind of what you're getting. But as you can tell from the top, the pictures are going to repeat, just like with different backgrounds. It's a weird choice, and maybe they wanted to save money on artwork. The cards are kind of thin, not the best in the world. These are going to be your turn action reminders in your King's Funeral. But okay, I mean, nothing great. This is probably the big letdown, is that the art just repeats a lot. I don't know, it kind of took me out of the theme a little bit of what we were doing. And then here is the board. It's a very beautiful board, actually. and it folds out like this. Doesn't take up too much room. This is just to hold your resources over here. This is where your cards will be. It looks very busy, but a lot of this stuff you're going to be covering up. It works pretty good. I like the design. I always like little things like this. There's not a lot of hidden things in here, but I like when they put little hidden things in here. And the artwork is very beautiful. Very, very good looking board. Reminds me a lot of the Stone Age. So here's the rule book. Picture of the box on the front of it. You're going to get a picture of all the components over here, which I love. And then you're going to get into a little explanation of how all the cards work and what they do. Setup is through here based on the number of players, a lot of these charts that you'll see, and a picture of where everything is going to go on the board. Very, very nice. And then really, there's not a whole lot of actions in this game. This is really the game right here. This is all you need to know how to play, and it works out pretty well. And there's examples you can see right here. These are examples that you can see and utilize to learn this kind of stuff. Then you're going to have scoring. Here are the solo rules that you're going to have. Some other little knickknacks that you might need to know in the rules. And then an appendix, we're going to go over all the buildings, what they do, all the special card treasure. I mean, a lot of care went into this. And then a cheat sheet on the back, which is really nice. So this rulebook is really, really good. I don't know what the general consensus is because this wasn't like a mass-produced game. But I got to say, very impressive, especially for a mirror box game, something I haven't heard of before. They did a very good job on this rulebook. Excellent. Whoever was editing this and writing this should get more work in the industry. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to play this game really easily and how to get set up. You're going to take 3 of these buildings plus a number of players, and these will be available for purchase. So the cost of them's up here in the top left, and then what they kind of do for you will be down here. Victory points, etc. So these will be available. Across the top, I'm not going to pull them all out, but based on the number of players, you will place a number of these that will be available in every game. So, for example, the Great Hall over here in a 3-player game, you would have 3 of these, and you would put them here available for purchase, keeping in mind that somebody can only buy 1 of each type of building, right? And these you can have fill up your player board, etc., that you can have. Now, over here, you'd have level 1 and level 2 cards. So in the game, based on the number of players, again, you're going to have a chart over here that will tell you the number of players and number of resources that you'll have out on the board. You'll put a number of these number 1s, and at some point in the game, you'll start utilizing the number 2s. Then you'll have the resources that are out. So on your turn, you're going to have this handy-dandy sheet that will tell you what you can do. Very easy is, and I'll just put the resources out here for easy see. For your first action, you can gather, which means you can take 3 of one type, or any 2 that are different. So I could take all 3 blue, or I could take a red and a green, or a green and a white, as long as they were different, or a red and a brown. It doesn't matter. So 3 of one type, or 2, but they can be different. Now, the trick to this game is that the resources are going to be different depending on the number of players. So let's say in a 2-player game, there's only 5 of each resource. So if I take 3, I've taken over half of the resources. And when the resources aren't here, you can no longer gather them. You can also craft, and craft is to go on these adventures that you'll see here, theoretically, and you'll be getting your dagger or your axe. If I wanted to give up this, I would simply give up a blue and a red, and I would create, quote-unquote, the dagger. So I'd give up a blue and a red, and that would allow me to take my sigil, and I would put it right here, signifying that I have completed this. Immediately, I would get the number of coins down here. So I would get my 3 coins from these right here, and I would gather my 3 coins. Now, when the second person comes, which could be me, and they would come along and do the other side, then this quest card would be finished. Whoever crafted first, in this case it was red, would take this card, and it would go into their scoring pile, and they would have this. Then if you look at the bottom, you would take a yellow and a red treasure card from the deck. So you're going to have these decks of treasure cards. I would take a red one, and I would take a yellow one. And the first person who accomplished it, in this case red, would look at both of these cards, decide which one they want to keep, and give the other one to the other player. So in this case, maybe I want the gauntlets over the boots, or etc. The third possible action you're going to be is to expand, which is to purchase these buildings. And when you purchase them, you pay the coin cost, and some are definitely better than others, and they have a higher cost to compensate. So this one will give you 4 victory points per type of goodie that you have. This kitchen, you got a kitchen there. Oh, these are all kitchens. So here's your Hall of Builders, $3, 3 victory points per building type that you have at the end of the game. And what you're going to do with those is you're going to have a player board that you're going to have, and everybody's going to start with one of these, and these are going to be in different locations, so as you cover them up, you will get goodies. Now, there's an adjacency thing here, so when you build them, they have to be adjacent to whatever you had before, and only build one of each type. If you cover something up, then you'll get that goodie there, and these will sit on. So theoretically, you're probably not going to fill this board up as you play, and there's places to place these cards across the side that you may have. So that's what's kind of going on with these, and these will sometimes score you victory points. Sometimes they will give you ongoing powers as the game continues. So this is a really good one here. There's no way to get green unless you have one of these gym workshops. So that can be a very powerful building. Also, what you're doing is you can also buy these specialists. And they kind of work the same way. They have a cost associated with them. And they will give you a number of powers. So buy a number of relics in the discard pile for 3 coins each. That's an immediate thing. Take a gather action. Copy the ability of a specialist in any player's guild. Place a baggage token in a chamber. Take a craft action. So these are things that you can also buy, and they can give you long-term effects or short-term effects. About halfway through the game, what's going to happen is this king's statue is going to come out. And what's going to happen is players are going to bid on this. It's going to be worth 4 victory points. It takes up a spot on your player aid. And then people are going to put a closed fist, and they're going to bid a number of coins. Whoever has the highest amount wins. If there's a tie, then nobody would get the king statue. The last card of the deck is going to be the Offering of the Council. When this comes up, it will trigger the end of the game. And what will happen is everybody will get one more turn. If you wanted to, as your last action, instead of taking action, you can place a sigil on here. If you were to place a sigil on here, then you'll be able to score victory points for the coins and any resources you have left over. Otherwise, they are worthless, but if you spend your last action. So you might want to do some math at the end, figure out if it would be more beneficial to take a sigil here or to complete a card that may score you more victory points or possibly more victory points in the long run. I also would note that each player will get one of these at the beginning of the game. This is how many resources you can have, and this will give you different powers as the game goes on you can utilize. So start with an additional 4 coins, can hold 5 resources. Start with the Shrine Room. So you can start with one of these treasure cards. Start with 1 additional storage. This one can hold 6 instead of 5. You can start with 2 blue, a blue and a wood, or 2 wood. Or you can start with 2 white, a red and a white, or 2 red. So these just kind of give you something to give you head stars, something to give you extra storage, and little powers that you can utilize. But everybody will start out with a different starting. And you could easily take this out of the game if you wanted to, but this is an official way to play the game. Who should buy this game? If you're a Euro gamer, it's a very light game, I feel like. Now, that's not to say it's mass market or non-gamer friendly, which I don't think it is. But if you're into these kind of Euro games and you want a lighter one or middle, but like on the lighter side of middle, then this could be it. It does have a limited resource thing where like there's only so many of each resource, and once somebody has them, they're gone until they're spent, and you're kind of sharing the rewards on some things. So that's pretty cool. And you can get these individual powers that sometimes are immediate or they will be ongoing for you. And that's all kind of cool. And I like what's a lot in this package. I think people are going to like it. But as I stated earlier, I was always in the minority of liking it the least, and it wasn't a game that I continually wanted to bring out. With that said, if you like that limited resource management game, I think this will fill that niche for you. Otherwise, I would say just from my own personal beliefs, you should try this one before you buy it. Check it out. But I think some people this is going to really hit a sweet spot for. For me, it's going to be a Purge, though.